Questions and answers for a world in crisis. Good morning. Today, our subject is perfection, and we have the words of the Mother to guide us in understanding the term. Though we may seek perfection in different areas of accomplishment, in work, and many other ways, what is perfection, truly? The Mother answers. Some people put perfection at the apex. It is generally thought that perfection is the maximum one can do. But I say that perfection is not the apex. It is not an extreme. There is no extreme. Whatever you may do, there is always the possibility of something better. And it is exactly this possibility of something better which is the very meaning of progress. Question to the Mother. Since there is no extreme, how can we attain perfection? If we make some progress, could it be said that we are going towards perfection? Mother replies, you are mixing up perfection and progress. You do not necessarily progress towards perfection. In progress, there is perhaps a certain perfection, but it can't be said that progress is perfection. Progress is rather an ascent. Perfection is a harmony, an equilibrium. But what is equilibrium? Who here has studied a little physics? In a balance, when the two scales are equally loaded, it is said that an equilibrium is established. That's it. And so what do I mean when I say that perfection is an equilibrium? The idea of perfection is something which comes to us from the divine. It descends from plane to plane, and we climb back from plane to plane. This is still an evolutionary idea. It is always said that when a creation reaches its maximum possibility, this is perfection. But it is not that. And it is exactly against this idea that I protest. All this is only a rung in the progress. That is, nature goes to the extreme limit of what she has. And when she sees she can go no further, can no longer stir, she destroys everything and begins again. This can't be called a perfection, for perfection cannot be demolished. Perfection will come only when nature can no longer undo what she has begun. For the moment, there is no instance where she has not successively undone what she had begun, believing that it was not enough, or it was not that which she wanted to do. Hence, it cannot be said that she has attained perfection in her creation. It would be the maximum only if she had no need to undo what she has done. Question. You say that we do not seek success, but is not success a sort of perfection? Mother, for the ordinary human mentality, success is perhaps a perfection, but not for us. Perfection is not a static state. It is an equilibrium, but a progressive, dynamic equilibrium. One may go from perfection to perfection. There can come a state from which it would not be necessary to descend to a lower rung in order to go farther. At the moment, the march of nature is like that. But in this new state, instead of being obliged to go back, to be able to start again, one can walk always forward without ever stopping. As things are, one comes to a certain point, and as human beings, as they are at present, cannot progress indefinitely, one must pass to a higher species, or leave the present species and create another. The human being, as he is at the moment, cannot attain perfection unless he gets out of himself. Man is a transitional being. In ordinary language, it may be said, "Oh, this man is perfect." But that is a literary figure. The maximum a human being can attain just now is an equilibrium, which is not progressive. He may attain perhaps a static equilibrium, but all that is static can be broken for lack of progress. Question: is not perfection the fulfillment of the divine in all the parts of the being? Mother, no. What you are thinking of is again a rung in progress and not perfection. Now, we are going to try to find a definition which can fit all instances, that is, the individual, the collectivity, the earth, and the universe. We may say that perfection will be attained in the individual, the collectivity, on the earth, and in the universe when at every moment the receptivity will be equal in quality and quantity to the force which wants to manifest. That is the supreme equilibrium. Hence there must be a perfect equilibrium between what comes from above and what answers from below. And when the two meet, that is perfect equilibrium, which is the realization, a realization in constant progress. It is better to be than to seem. We do not need to appear to be good if our sincerity is perfect. And by perfect sincerity, we mean that all our thoughts, feelings, sensations, and actions should express nothing but the central truth of our being. When you are absolutely sincere, you make a constant effort to live in harmony with the highest ideal of your being, the truth of your being. At every moment, in all that you think, all that you feel, and all that you do, you try as perfectly as possible, as completely as possible, to put yourself in harmony with the highest ideal, or, if you are conscious of it, with the truth of your being. Then you have reached true sincerity. And if you are like that, if truly you do not act from egoistic motives or for personal reasons, if you act guided by your inner truth, that is, if you are perfectly sincere, it is absolutely the same to you whether the whole world judges you in one way or another. In this state of perfect sincerity, you do not need to appear good or to be approved by others. For the first thing you experience when you are in harmony with your true consciousness is that you do not care what you look like. Whether you look like this or like that, whether you seem indifferent, cold, distant, proud, all this is of no importance, provided, I repeat this, you are absolutely sincere. That is, you never forget that you live in order to realize your inner central truth. Question. Does not perfection consist in pleasing the divine and no one else? Yes, if you like, but when one is not absolutely sincere, one deceives oneself very easily. And if one feels comfortable, one says, "Oh, I am sure that I please the divine." And from Sri Aurobindo, the synthesis of yoga, the perfection of equality. The very first necessity for spiritual perfection is a perfect equality. Perfection, in the sense in which we use it in yoga, means a growth out of a lower undivine into a higher divine nature. In terms of knowledge, it is a putting on the being of the higher self and a casting away of the darker, broken, lower self, or a transforming of our imperfect state into the rounded, luminous fullness of our real and spiritual personality.